This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
And welcome, everybody, to episode 24 of the Animaniacast.
Now, Pinky, let us, in the vernacular, take this hog out on the road and see who's boss.
And welcome, everybody, once again to the Animaniacast. We are a podcast that is dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs. Each and every episode, we discuss a new episode in the order in which they were released, and we discuss all the gags and all the jokes and all the cultural references and who knows what else. At the end of it, we give every episode a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me as always is my brother Nathan.
Call me Final Destinathan.
That's good. And across the country in Georgia, it's Kelly.
Hello.
Hello, Kelly. Episode 24 has three different parts to it. Starts off with a very short thing, Yakko's World of Baldness. We have a new Pinky and the Brain cartoon of Opportunity Knox. And then it wraps up with a different kind of cartoon with Wings Take Heart, which is with a moth and a butterfly of some sort. I don't know, guys. What do you think about this episode in just a few words? Nathan, what do you think?
Pinky and the Brainy.
Okay, that's a few words. What about you, Kelly?
I learned where Fort Knox was in this episode.
Oh, there you go. You learned something, and
It was educational.
Yes, you learned one thing.
Most educational episode yet. Wow.
Well, Nathan, I'm curious. Could you tell me when was this episode originally released?
I'm surprised you don't remember.
I forgot.
It was released on Monday, October 18th. That was just a couple days after the Beverly Hillbillies movie was released. Hillbillies? Beverly Hillbilly?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just released that Friday before this.
So
we were watching it that weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, I remember seeing Beverly Hillbillies, the movie, in theaters.
So, yeah, we saw it opening weekend, then we
So, October 18th, 1993, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so there we go. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's another little fact for you.
Thank you, Nathan,
we know
for
where
that.
Fort Knox was, and now when Beverly Hillbillies was released.
Okay, well, let's get right into our first... I guess this is kind of this happened before the credits,
yeah, it was a
right?
cold open, just like a much better version of Newsreel of the Stars.
That's right. No Newsreel of the Stars this time. This time instead we have Yakko's World of Baldness. Kind of an infomercial format where Yakko's talking about, he'll shave your head and paint it a various color for just $19.95, and they'll buff it. We got to see Ralph's natural hair color in this one, which was a huge plume of orange hair when they took off his hat.
Yeah.
Which apparently Ralph likes to shave his head because I've never seen him with hair before. So that was a cute little gag. It kind of reminded me, in a lot of reference guides, they talk about, this is a reference to Earl Scheib, which he'll paint any car for $39.95. And of course, that was a previous reference to, Hooked on a Ceiling, where he says, I'll paint any ceiling for $39.95. Right.
I remember that episode.
Yes, exactly. You remember that.
Were you a fan of that episode?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit.
Listeners, if you have not listened to that episode yet, check it out. It's a fun discussion of that one. It's a great episode. This one, however, really reminded me more than any kind of car ad or anything like that. I'm pretty sure it was referring back to, in the early 90s especially, there was this stuff by Ron Popeil. Ron Popeil made the Pocket Fisherman. You remember the Pocket Fisherman?
Yeah.
He may be little, but he...
Yeah, they had the pocket... Yeah, it was with Cookies for Einstein?
Yes, exactly. But anyway, he may be little, but he eats. That was what he said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. I was going to say, I actually saw Ron Popeil one time at Disneyland, actually. It's a weird thing. Anyway, Ron Popeil came up with various inventions, and one of those things was something you could actually spray on your head if you were bald or balding. And it was basically hair spray paint, and you spray it on your bald spot, and it would make it kind of look like you filled in the gaps in your head, sort of.
GLH means great-looking hair. Just spray GLH on, and it instantly covers your bald spot, leaving you with great-looking hair.
That's incredible. I've been getting harassing for being bald. I'm only a young man. No more dates without being called old man, but the babes are back.
I would definitely, as a matter of fact, I want to order 1 year's supply of this.
And GLH is not just for men.
Unbelievable. Wow. I never dreamed that I'd look like this.
Do you remember this, Kelly, Nathan?
Yeah, I remember I'm not just the owner, I'm also a member.
Oh, of course, that's Hair Club for Men.
Okay. And remember, I'm not only the Hair Club president, but I'm also a client.
Come on down to Yakko Warner's World of Baldness. And remember, I'm not only the president of Yakko Warner's World of Baldness, I'm also annoying.
So that was a different thing.
That's different. Yeah, so there was another thing right there. But I don't know if Kelly, you remember this stuff, right? The stuff you spray.
Yeah, I remember the commercials or infomercials
for
it.
I remember there was a Frasier episode where his dad gets it, and then he ends up staining a couch or something. It was hilarious.
We actually bought it for, I think I found a version of it. I think not the actual stuff, but like the cheap generic stuff, like in the dollar store for our dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought it for him just to see like, hey, let's see if this stuff works, Dad. And it looked horrible.
Oh.
It looked horrible. It's literally like spray painting. It really, like, you think like, oh, it can't look that bad. Oh, it does. It looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you just spray painted the back of your head. And even in the commercial, even in that commercial, you can see like the back of these people's heads does not look good. It really looks like they're like gelled up and gross. So that to me, that's really what I think this is referencing more than anything, is kind of like those baldness commercials, not necessarily like Earl Scheib, which it's kind of a little bit sure with I'll do it for 1995, but more than anything, it's definitely the Hair Club for Men, which is still, I believe, around today, doing with like hair plugs and other kind of hair systems,
mm-hmm.
but especially the hair spray.
There probably isn't the what do you call it? The demand for stuff like that much anymore, because men who are bald now, it's so much more in fashion.
Yeah,
I guess it's so much more acceptable nowadays. I remember when my dad was losing his hair, we would tease him about it, and I'd call him Mr. Clean and everything like that. And nowadays, I mean, guys in their 20s shave their head, and it's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. Most people just kind of go, oh, I'm balding. Well, I might as well shave my head. And then that's your new style.
We can thank Bruce Willis and Britney Spears for that.
Thank you, Britney Spears. I'm glad she has a nice wig on now, apparently.
Well, she shaved her head at one point.
There, exactly.
I think it grew back.
Yes.
That was a long time ago.
Okay. Well, that is that segment. Let's go ahead and go on to our first real segment right here, Opportunity Knox.
This is Maurice LaMarche, the voice of the brain, and you are listening to the Animaniacast.
Okay, Opportunity Knox was written by Tom Minton, directed by Michael Gerard, and Kelly. What's a basic synopsis of this cartoon?
This is a Peeky in the Brain episode, and the brain has one of his genius ideas to take over the world, and he decides to create this pollen that if you throw it on people, they'll sneeze incessantly. And he decides to take it to Fort Knox and steal all the gold. And because when you own the world's capital, you own the world. And Pinky got confused because he's like, isn't the capital in Washington, D.C.? And which actually was pretty intelligent of him to acknowledge.
Yes, he's a genius.
Yes, but Brain pointed out that it's the other capital.
Yes.
So money. So the plan is actually going really, really well. They get into Fort Knox and they're in the room with all the gold, but he didn't quite think it through all the way because gold's heavy and they're two teeny little mice.
Yes.
So they can't lift the gold and have to scrap the plan and go back to the lab and regroup and decide to take over the world tomorrow night.
Yes, with big giant bumps on their heads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
Fear not, Pinky, for the unwieldy atomic weight of gold will not thwart us tomorrow night.
Why? What are we doing tomorrow night, Brain?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
I thought this was a cute cartoon. Did you guys have this?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed their car trip. It was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I completely glossed over that, sorry. But that was really funny because he's like, I am a nondescript, normal driver.
Yeah, motorist,
or whatever he
said.
Yeah. And it's
Mr. Perkins.
Mr. Perkins. Mr. Perkins.
Oi! Nice threads, Brain! But, why the disguise?
If we are to succeed in our mission, I must pass for an average, nondescript motorist, Pinky. So while we're driving, call me Mr. Perkins.
Say no more! Brilliant, Brain!
Mr. Perkins.
Ooh, right, no. Mr. Perkins.
Yes, I really like that. And just I felt like kind of the tension of just knowing how difficult it is to drive and just seeing these guys just trying to drive, like, you know, a car with just like spools of string and Pinky pressing the pedals and going on cruise control. I liked that whole thing of, you know, accidentally turning on the windshield wipers. And it really had this kind of, even though it's very enclosed, like they didn't really have that much trouble. It really had this kind of manic, kind of out of control feeling to it. Because I could only imagine driving like that. Like, know, like, hey, push that would be too insane for me. And of course, like, they were going like 100 miles over the speed limit.
Yeah.
It's amazing that they got to Fort Knox at all.
It really is. And that the police officer just let them go after. I love those kinds of lines that it's kind of another running gag that happens in Pinky and the Brain where, you know, okay, I'm actually a lab mouse and blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, oh, okay. And
yeah, it's like, what do you say to that?
He's like, what do you say to that? I'm just going to let this person go and move on.
If Chicken Boo could talk, all Chicken Boo would need to say is just, I'm a chicken. I'm a giant chicken, and I just happen to be doing. He'd be like, okay.
Oh, okay. Move on from there. Yeah, so that was cute. I mean, I liked a few of the things, like just when they're getting into the car for the first time, how they say like, are we going to get in trouble, Brain?
Yeah, and we'll have it back.
Yes.
Will we get in trouble, Brain?
Get in trouble? Pinky, we're going to take over the world. Besides, we'll have the van back here by 8 a.m.
Oh, all right then.
And there were some references to, well, they're on like a box of soap, Swan soap, which was apparently an actual soap brand back in the 40s and 50s. But perhaps the biggest references that came up to me were, number one, when they go into Fort Knox itself. When Brain looks at the gold, it's very similar to a Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck cartoon called Alibaba Bunny. And in that cartoon, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck kind of get into this, I'm trying to remember. It's like there's a genie in a bottle and stuff, and there's this huge pile of gold, and Daffy sees it and has that same kind of facial expression. His eyes get big, and his lower jaw kind of trembles a little bit, like he's in love, and he has to like force Bugs Bunny back into the hole. It's mine, mine, mine. You remember this?
Yeah, I remember this now.
Yeah.
I wonder. I just bet we should have turned left at Albuquerque, and then maybe a right turn at La Jolla. Well, we can't be too far off. So if we, It's mine, you understand? Mine! All mine! Get back in there! Down, down, down! Go, go, go! Mine, mine, mine! What's up, Duck?
So that was a cute little animation reference, but they name drop DuckTales.
Right?
Hey, God! This is even better than a DuckTales episode, Brain!
Right in there. So that was cool. I thought it was a neat reference to the Disney brand right there.
Yeah, it's like, why? It's kind of weird, though. Yeah, that they would.
I liked it.
Yeah. So good stuff. What do you guys like? What any favorite lines? Any favorite moments? What do you think?
Well, you stole my DuckTales one. I was gonna say that, but I liked when the Brain asked Pinky, "Are you pondering what I'm pondering?" And he's like, "I think so, Brain, but balancing a family and a career."
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Oh, I think so, Brain, but balancing a family and a career? Oh, it's all too much for me.
I thought that was cute.
Oh, I love the part that when he's talking about what are we going to do with this pollen, and he says, "Open up a boutique."
Yeah, I love that. I was like, he actually, and then Brain humors him and just says like, "Yes, that's exactly what we're
going to sell." What is he like? We're going to sell women's clothing and pollen.
Yeah, he looks like right at the audience too, right before he says it.
Yeah, it's like, oh god. So that was really cute. Nathan, what about you?
Well, I was going to say the boutique.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I know. You just keep stealing our favorite parts. I guess I'll go back to the Mr. Perkins lines and everything. So
that was cute. Yeah, because he's still doing, there's a great article. I think it was I believe it was the New York Times that came out, and they talked about how Pinky and the Brain had a specific kind of formula. And yet having that formula, despite having Animaniacs plus a whole spin-off show, the show never really felt repetitive.
Yeah.
Because of multiple different reasons. It's a great article, but a lot of it comes down to the great writing and the voice performances and stuff like that. But in this one, the Brain is having the same kinds of things. Call me, before, first it was General Brain.
Yeah.
Now it's Mr. Perkins.
Exactly. I think he's insane a little bit, but
he's not insane. He is the genius. They're both pretty dumb. Now this one, again,
that's another thing. Like for the gold's heavy. All right.
Yes.
And then, but there's also so much gold, like as another thing. Like, how are they planning on getting that out of the building, past the guards again? Like,
it reminded me a little bit of going to the Tsar's palace and getting all the stuff. But then, how do you get it away from the place? Except even to an even larger degree, if you're going to steal, actually, because it wasn't even we're going to take over Fort Knox. It was we're going to steal the gold out of Fort Knox.
Yeah, I think getting into the fort is only the least of your issues is
getting it out of there too. Yeah, so that was
That's like in Star Wars: The New Hope. And Princess Leia says, "When you came in here, didn't you have a plan for getting out?" Look what I did.
Yep. You came in that thing? You're braver than I thought.
Boo.
Nice. Anyway. Sorry. So a cute Pinky and the Brain cartoon, it goes probably on the list of some of the better ones, I suppose. I think honestly so far we haven't seen a Pinky and the Brain cartoon in this Animaniacs run that has been like so. They've all been like, more or less knocking it out of the park, or at least hitting a double or triple.
Well, and it's clear that's why they would make a spin-off of that one other than...
Exactly. And I seem to remember that this whole bit of lifting the gold and getting crushed was in the theme song on the TV show. I remember seeing them get crushed by the gold every episode. So they incorporated it into the actual spin-off show itself. So there we go. Well, let's move on to kind of one of these middle segments then.
It's time for another good idea, bad idea.
The good idea is stopping to smell the roses, and the bad idea is stopping to, touch the roses or hold the roses or whatever.
Stopping to feel the roses.
Feel the roses. Well, anyway, he grabs the rose, and of course it hurts him. He never speaks, though. Mr. Skullhead, he never talks. He's a mute. He has no vocal cords. He's just a skeleton, so he can't talk.
Yeah.
A cute one right there. Not much to say about that, I guess, but it was cute.
Yeah, I don't think it's my favorite of the good idea, bad ideas, but
it was interesting just to see that this is just, there's, usually in these, when they show a good idea, bad idea, they show more than one.
Yeah.
So it was just one. So cute. Nice filler. Let's go ahead and move right over to
our favorite cartoon.
The favorite cartoon, which on this the reference guide I'm going to actually doesn't have any reference to whatsoever, but that's okay because we have enough to talk about it. It's called Wings Take Heart. So Wings Take Heart was a cartoon written by Nicholas Hollander and directed by Alfred Gimeno. And Nathan, what basically happened in this cartoon?
We have these two bugs, a boy and a girl.
Okay.
They're both, one's a fly, I think one's a butterfly.
You know what?
You felt like? Or?
Okay, Kelly, what do you think these bugs were?
I thought maybe the guy was a moth and the girl was a butterfly.
That's what I thought too.
Then.
That's what I thought.
That would make sense too. So, anyways, this is a completely silent cartoon. Boy sees girl. They seem to fall in love instantly, but then boy gets hit by trucks repeatedly, and then ends up in vultures gonna eat him, and then from there he has to fight fire, and then fight water. Then he finds girl again, and they seem to fall in love, except when they kiss, when the screen goes dark, she slaps him. And so there we go.
I really felt sorry for that guy at the very end of it, because I'll get into it in a minute, but I mean, what a jerk that girl was.
Well, I mean you gotta get consent.
Well, she was leaning in for that kiss too.
Well, if you the first time she was. I don't know about the next time.
I don't know what happened when that iris went dark, but I don't know. I don't want to know.
I mean, yeah, exactly. We don't know.
Something bad happened.
Something besides a kiss probably happened.
Terrible guy. Okay, so anyway, Nathan, what do you think about this cartoon?
It was okay. It was longer than I think it should have been. I would have preferred more Pinky and the Brain and less of this.
Kelly, what about you?
I agree. When I saw how long this cartoon was, I couldn't believe it was in excess over 7 minutes. I was like, whoa, this is all it is.
Yeah.
I need something.
Yeah, exactly. To me, it reminded me of a lot of Merry Melodies or Silly Symphonies cartoons.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah. There's a, and there, one in particular, I was trying to think, like, I saw something where it was like there was a Silly Symphony or a Merry Melodies that I saw, at least one or two, that dealt with bugs falling in love. And I found the one I think I was thinking of, which is called The Moth and the Flame, I believe. And in that, I was showing Nathan a few moments of it before.
Yeah, it looked identical.
Yeah, well, it didn't look identical, but
I was just watching the episode. Sorry.
But it basically, in that cartoon, it deals with two moths, a boy and a girl one, and then they look into a store and one of these shops, and they go inside and there's a candle, and the candle is kind of like tempting the girl moth to fall in love with him, and in other words, like kill her by embracing her. But so that, to me, it's totally instrumental. I think Frank Welker had one noise that he made the boy moth, I guess we'll call him. He made a honking sound or something. That was our one line, was but, and also that woman, that butterfly was kind of like he was floating away, and she just kind of watched him.
Yeah, but also, like, he can fly. I didn't understand why he wasn't flying. It wasn't until after he fell in the hole, and then he's like, oh yeah, I can fly.
I can fly.
Like,
maybe his wings were wet or something.
Maybe,
like that.
But they dried off immediately. Like, it was a weak plot there. No.
Everything also seems so close to it, different things. Like, you had the forest next to the farm, which flowed right back into the city with very poor irrigation systems.
Yeah.
Like, the farmer turned on his water, which it seemed like the majority of that water he let in just flowed outside of his crops to begin with.
Yep. Well, it just shows how dangerous that fire was. It was that close to the city.
Yes. I did kind of like some of the animation in this, I suppose, if I were to name like something kind of cool about it. Nowhere near the level it needed to be, though, I think, for me to really pay closer attention to it. I think the thing is with silly symphonies or merry melodies, the animation is so good. And even those old cartoons that I watch it, and even though the plot is very similar, I find myself more engaged in it just because they're experimenting with different types of, animation techniques. And I could see how this could lead to like them doing it in Bambi or there's, Pinocchio or whatever. This one just, not much to it. The guy also looked much different. Like my wife and I were watching it and she goes, okay, so she's like a human face and he's like, what is he?
Yeah.
Like a dog, a mouse? What is going on with him? He was such a different species.
And she was basically a hello nurse face, right? Is that what?
Yeah.
That was a little creepy.
Yeah.
And they have these little, they have this moment where they first find each other and they stare into each other's eyes and they're kind of flying without looking where they're flying. And I was expecting them to like hit something, but they didn't. They're just in love. I don't know. A very weird love story. Like they're in love or they're not in love or whatever. I don't know. I guess in the grand scheme of things, I could probably just pass this particular cartoon and not necessarily watch it again. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd probably just skip it.
Yeah. It wasn't.
I almost skipped it this time.
Well, yeah, because honestly, I totally forgot about ever seeing it to begin with. Like I don't remember ever watching this one.
Yeah.
It was brand new to me, and maybe in another 20 years I might watch it again and say, oh, what's this? So let's go ahead and go to one last part right here. And it is the Wheel of Morality.
Wheel of Morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
And of course, this particular moral is,
if you can't say something nice, you're probably at the ice capades.
It's the most true one. No.
And I was shocked to find that the ice capades are no longer a thing. You can no longer go to the ice capades. There's Disney on Ice. Have either of you been to Disney on Ice or any ice capades or anything like that?
Been to something on ice. I can't remember what it was. It was kind of boring.
But I knew a guy that went to Disney on Ice and brought me back a Beauty and the Beast cup one time.
Oh, there you go.
That was cool. I still have it.
It's expensive to go to any of those ice shows. I know that my wife and our niece and sister-in-law would go every now and then when Disney on Ice comes, and it costs just about as much money as a trip to Disneyland, I think. The merchandise is, I think it does when everything's said and done. I mean, the tickets themselves are, gosh, they're pretty expensive. And then the merchandise that, you have to buy them something, and, it's, $30 for a doll and $10 for a drink or whatever. It's expensive. Maybe not as much as a trip to Disneyland, but it certainly felt that way when they went. So, but yeah. That's a cute little, not one of the best Wheel of Moralities, I guess. I did like one part, though.
The burping?
The burping part. Actually, I like Dot's response more, which was...
To make fun of the Disney Channel?
So I did like that. Again, two jabs are kind of Disney-ish kind of things. One in kind of reverence to DuckTales, I guess. And the other one making...
Sorry, it's like...
You can't say that and not expect a response. It's a call and response song.
Sorry. So, one was for DuckTales. Okay. And the other one was for the Disney Channel. I guess this was... I'm not quite sure, but at this time, I think
the Disney Channel rocked.
The Disney Channel was still good at this time.
It was so good. They were showing Fraggle Rock and like actual Disney movies, classics, and I think they were showing Gummy Bears.
Yeah.
And some Disney afternoon shows periodically, and let's see. Around this, let's see. I can't remember exactly what year Muppet Christmas Carol came out. I think it was about the year before this or so. So around that time, they were showing Muppet Christmas Carol and the making of the Muppet Christmas Carol, and they would have all the, like, now we get the DVD and Blu-ray extras, but back then Disney Channel would show the making of Beauty and the Beast, and show how they would bring in the actual animals that they used to model for the Lion King and all these documentaries. I love the Disney Channel.
Yeah, it was done in a much better style than they do right now, which is kind of like a highlight reel, and they just throw some 14-year-old at me that is introducing every segment, and I'm like, get away from me, kid! Just give me someone who knows what they're talking about.
Well, when you were a kid, they're like, whoa, who's that old person telling me this?
Well, I'd like that because, I was weird.
Well, it was a 14-year-old still. It just seemed old.
Oh, it just seems old to me. No,
well, now to watch Disney movies, you have to go and watch what used to be called the ABC Family Channel.
That's true.
And that's the ones that will show, Pocahontas.
Yes.
And, actual Disney movies. So it's weird. And I think that channel changed its name to something else.
Yeah,
I lost track.
Yeah, I lost track too. I think I was flipping channels, and I was like, I know it's not called the ABC Family Channel. It was called the Family Channel before, and then ABC Family, and now it's called.
I remember when it was the Family Channel, and that was the channel that aired the remaining 4 made-for-TV movie episodes of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Oh yes. I do remember that. Did they also?
I do too.
Did they also show those on TNT too, or is that just my imagination?
I think it's your imagination.
Okay, it must have been Family Channel because I remember like turning on the TV. I think they would show some of them on Saturday mornings and stuff like that. I think.
Well, they premiered on like Saturday evenings, they premiered in the evenings, but they may have had reshown them because I remember like I bought the TV guides when they came out and put them in my scrapbook, and it believe me when I say it was a television event. Believe me when I say that.
I will believe you.
I am not kidding.
So, well, that was a nice discussion of the Disney Channel and other things. Ladies and gentlemen, it's what we do.
It's Dot's fault.
It's all Dot's fault. I blame Dot.
Getting off topic.
I blame Dot. No, but okay. Well, let's go ahead and get right over to our water tower rating. So, let's start with. You know what? I'm going to go this time again.
Okay.
I never go first. I'm going to go first this time. I'm going to hog the spotlight again. I'm going to give this episode 2.5 water towers out of 5. I liked Pinky and the Brain one. I liked the other little segments. Not a big fan of the Moth one. But it was a decent episode. It's kind of weird. So when you say 2.5 out of 5, I was thinking about it before, and I was like, well, that's like a 50%. That's an F. But I don't really think of it that way. I think of like really good as, as 3, 4, 5s, and this was just a good episode. This was decent.
Okay.
Kelly, what do you think?
I think I agree with you. I'll give it a 2.5, 2.5 because I did really like the Pinky and the Brain episode. It's one I remembered from when it originally aired, and I thought the writing in that was particularly funny, and just really enjoyed it. And it did not have Newsreel of the Stars, so bonus for that. And it did have a couple of little extra segments, but the moth and the butterfly just snooze. I thought the animation in it was good, but it just didn't grab my attention.
Yeah. And Nathan, what about you?
I'm going to do 3.5.
So really cool.
Well, okay. I really enjoyed that Pinky and the Brain, and there was enough filler other stuff. The butterfly and moth was boring, but whatever. I can skip it, and there we go. So
yeah. Okay, so very nice. Well, let's get over to our poll results from last week.
Hello again, it's your announcer with this week's Animaniacast poll results. Listeners were asked, which of these Good Feathers cartoons is your favorite? #Animaniacs, #Animaniacast poll. 7% said, The Beginning. 10% said, Tidadump, 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 dump, dump. 29% said The Boyds. But with 54%, it was West Side Pigeons that was this week's winner. So there you are. All this talk about birds has got me all ready for Thanksgiving. So it's time to put my frozen turkey in the oven. Hope it comes out all right. I have about 5 or 6 days for it to cook. Let's see what happens. Now off to the studio with this week's new poll.
Okay, so those were our poll results from last week. And Nathan, what do you think? What was your favorite Goodfeathers cartoon?
I voted for West Side Pigeons.
All right. And Kelly?
West Side Pigeons.
Okay, 3 out of 3 West Side Pigeons, because...
Woo, because obviously.
Yeah, well, because obviously.
Well, the Boyds was close. I was considering